St Botolph lived in the 7th century. There are about 70 churches in England dedicated to St Botolph. In the City of London we have St Botolph without Aldgate, St Botolph without Aldersgate, and St Botolph without Bishopgate. There was also a St Botolph without Billingsgate, but this was burned down in the fire and not rebuilt. Now it may be that you believe that St Christopher is the patron saint of travellers, but I am told that it is St Botolph. It may be a joint franchise. Either way, it explains why there were 4 St Botolphs in London. We are talking here about the old City of London as walled around by the Romans, and I can now understand why the St Botolphs were all St Botolph without something or other, because this means that each of these churches was just outside or without one of the gates of the city. Upon setting out on a journey from London, a traveller may call into the church to ask blessings on his journey, and likewise a traveller arriving at the city would perhaps call into the church to give thanks for his safe journey. So let's look first at Aldgate. The parochial foundation may well be pre-1966, but the first written record of the church appears in 1115. The church was rebuilt in the 16th century and then again between 1741 and 1744 to designs by George Dance the Elder. The building was severely damaged several times by German bombs during the Second World War, and then again much damaged by an inexplicable fire in 1965. After restoration, the church was re-hallowed in 1966. Daniel Defoe was married here in 1683, and Thomas Bray, the founder of SPCK, was rector between 1706 and 1730. We're walking north up Bishopsgate, and there, just outside where the gate would have been, is St Botolph without Bishopsgate. The present building was completed around 1725 by George Dance the Elder. An earlier church had been undamaged by the Great Fire, but was demolished to make room for the present building. During excavation work for the present building, the Anglo-Saxon foundations of the original church were found, and it is even likely that worship took place on this site in Roman times. Although an Anglican church, the building is also used for worship by the Antiochian Orthodox Church. The church is also linked with the Worshipful Company of Bowyers. John Keats was baptized here in 1795. St Botolph without Aldersgate is quite near St Paul's. Its churchyard was combined years ago with those of St Leonard Foster Lane and Christchurch Newgate. This formed what is known as Postman's Park. We're quite near the old General Post Office here. It is a very pleasant little retreat, closely hemmed in by office blocks. Along one edge it houses what is known as the Watts Memorial. Initiated in the early 1900s, it commemorates Londoners who died heroic deaths. Let's now have a look at the church. A church was built here in the time of Edward the Confessor. It formed part of a Cluniac priory. At the time of the dissolution of the monasteries, it passed into lay patronage. The present church was built around 1790. Underneath this half-dome, the semicircular apse holds not a stained glass window, but a transparency or a painting on glass by James Pearson in 1788. There are some Victorian period stained glass windows showing scenes from the life of our Lord. One of them, if I remember correctly, is in memory of the Channel swimmer Captain Webb, as we know him. Yes, that's this one. On the other side of the nave are pictures of more recent history. In this one, William I confers the patronage of this church to the Priory of St Martin's le Grand in 1068. In this one, the Bishop of London gives refuge to Princess Anne at his house near here in 1688. Here we see John Wesley preaching. He often did this in Postman's Park, which we saw earlier. Organ 1788 by Samuel Green, and is the only green organ surviving in the City of London. The church is used on Sundays by the London City Presbyterian Church, part of the Free Church of Scotland. During the week it is looked after by St Helens Bishopgate. This classical front was added in 1831.